welcome to this interview with Bob Leonard, one of our artists presently on display at the Alpha Art Gallery's current exhibition, Interchangeable Lens, Frame of Mind. My name is Eva Ishakova, and together we will be going over some of Bob Leonard's artistic process, as well as the pieces that were graciously contributed to both our physical and online presentations. So we're going to start off pretty simple. Bob, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How you doing?
I'm also doing great. So first, I thought that we would talk about your story as an artist. So can you tell us where you're from, when you first started creating art, and how you dove into your career as an artist and photographer?
Got it. So I'm local. I'm from New York. I'm from Queens on Long Island originally, and I got into photography in 8th grade. So the art teacher had a darkroom set up, and he got me into it. So that's how I started doing this. And then in college, I got involved with a group called Photo Service. This is at Albany State, and we did all the photography for the school newspaper, the Albany Student Press, called the ASP, and the yearbook. And I had a passport photo business. So I, was doing that, all through college, and shooting mostly black and white. Back in those days,
Mm-hmm.
we had this place called a dark room, where you went in and developed your film and made prints. After school, I didn't really have much of an outlet. I got into advertising and had a day job. So I shot mostly Kodachrome for many, many years, just to have, a way of doing something. And it was sporadic, to be honest. I wasn't shooting on a regular basis. But then, digital came around, more than 15 years ago. And that kind of was a lifesaver in a way, because it allowed me to shoot, constantly on a regular basis, and then have, instant gratification, be able to see the work immediately. And then, the printer technology got, really affordable. So I was able to, make my own prints. So then I got involved with Soho Photo Gallery. So it's a member-run gallery in New York. About 100 people are involved at the gallery. You have to apply to get in. And we have exhibits at the gallery and other programming too. So it's been a great experience. I've been a member now, for about 14 years. And it kind of forces you to step up your game and have exhibits, and then there's people there that you can, bounce ideas off, which is really, really great. So the show that's at Alpha was actually exhibited at Soho a few months earlier, back in October. Originally it was scheduled for June of 2020, but it got canceled for some reason. I forget what happened. Something happened.
I believe that I read about that either on your website or when I was, I guess, researching or looking into your work. So. Oh
yeah, it was this worldwide pandemic. Yeah, so that's what happened. It got canceled, So for a year, and then we had able to get the show up and running in October of 21. So anyway, I'll go ahead.
Okay. Your artwork is very thought-provoking, and it truly made me wonder how you came across the beautiful concept of compiling portions of an image into these abstract geometric collages of sorts. I was wondering if maybe you could tell us about how you discovered this technique and what interested you about it.
Yeah, I guess I've been shooting mostly in color, for the past 15 plus years. So I'm attracted to interesting colors and shapes, and I started playing around with it in Lightroom and Photoshop. Doing duotics and triptychs and multiple images, composites really. So I like the way the images kind of flow together. Create a whole visual dance, if you will, of the images. I guess working in concert. So The series I did now, typically it's one or two images, one, two or three images, and they're cropped differently, and then it becomes a game where I just try to put them out almost randomly, and then it's got to click. So there's a lot of trial and error, really. So this particular series, it's composite with 32 images, so it's four columns and 8 rows. So anyway, so that's kind of what I've been doing for the past couple of years, is these composites.
Why do you feel that the medium of photography and like the use of abstract images is best for expressing your message to viewers? Or
well, I mean, I think what's interesting, well, I can't paint, but maybe I'm a frustrated painter, I don't know, but no, really seriously, I mean, I'm interested in found objects. So, I've started out as a street photographer and photojournalist. So really, photography to me is about finding things that are out there and making them more interesting. So, I'm taking something that I see that catches my eye in terms of being graphically appealing, and then I take that to the next level, altering the images and then creating these composites.
Your collection titled Walls is being showcased in this exhibit. So could you tell us a little bit about the inspiration behind this, I guess, specific collection? You've stated that you're interested with working with these striking colors and fascinating images. So I guess what drew you to these particular images without, I guess, giving too much away?
No secrets here, but I mean, I was on vacation and went to Peru. It was a trip where we went to Machu Picchu and we stayed in a small town called Urubamba. And I was just, interested in the shapes and of these particular walls and doorways. The colors were quite striking, and, a lot of blue, which was interesting to me. So that's what caught my attention. So a lot of it is just collecting stuff and then going back and looking at the material, and there's a lot of things that don't work. I mean, I find that simple works much better than something that's too complicated. So I find something that's appealing graphically in color, and then I take it from there.
In your artist statement regarding this collection, and also throughout this interview as well, you said that you want to create a visual dance between these multiple images. So can you tell us about your thoughts on these images being more powerful together, I guess, rather than alone?
Yeah, that's a good point. So one thing I've learned being a member of the gallery over the years is that it's all about portfolio. So, you can have one image, that's great, but it doesn't mean anything. It's got to be part of a narrative, a story. And the images need to speak with each other. So that was kind of the challenge here, is to come up with a series that the images kind of work together. So they're all similar tone in terms of being blue, but each are quite different. And I pair them. So you have, a couple images together. There's one image that's a kind of a bit lighter, a little bit more vibrant. That's by itself. But the idea is that you're creating a story, and you're allowing the viewer to look at all the work as one unit, which I think is really important. And something any artist needs to be thinking about when they do work. You can't just have one thing. It's got to be a whole series.
Is there a connection between this collection of yours and previous collections that you've created, such as, I guess, Reinventions or any other collection? Or is this?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of went nuts, having this, being, quite large. And the pieces are 24 inches in width by 44 in height. I've done smaller things where, they may have been did a series of, it was called urban hieroglyphs. So I shot the markings that you see on the streets of Manhattan that show the where the utilities are, so that when construction crews come in, they don't blow things up. So you'll see markings on the sidewalks. Red is electricity, and yellow is gas, and orange is telecom. So I shot close-ups of these shapes. They're kind of meaningless to the average person. I have no idea what they mean, but someone does. But anyway, I shot close-ups, and then I altered them and enhanced the colors a bit, and then I created these composites 2x2, and much smaller. The overall size was 12x12 when it was shown. But then then I had a whole series of varying colors and different kinds of shapes. So it became a series, and it was about over a dozen images in this particular show. So then I just took it to the next level, by adding making the composites more complicated.
I found the simplicity and like the blue collaboration of your walls collection to be rather interesting. I guess you also mentioned the aspect of blue. So in particular, I was curious about the piece Urubamba 13. To remind you, that's the because of the incorporation of the gray curves and like the lighter shade of blue in that specific image. So I was just wondering if you could talk about like that specific piece and how closely you photographed the image within this artwork.
Yeah, the gray is actually part of a door, a corrugated door. So I'm giving away my secrets here, So, but it's been altered, obviously. But yeah, it's a bit more subtle than the other ones. But yeah, so I'm shooting the wall, and I'm shooting the doorway as well. So it's a combination of both areas. But yeah, I guess the idea is that you want to mix things up. You don't want everything to look the same. So you want the pieces to stand out on their own, but then they have to all work together. It's all part of having a portfolio, right?
I was gonna say, in contrast to the more muted tones, I guess, of Urubamba 13, Urubamba 3 and the some of the other images, they have more brighter shades of blue. So I guess more vibrant in a way. So were there two separate messages that you wanted to convey with these artworks, or I guess?
I think the idea, the takeaway that I was hoping to get is that there was a flow between these images, so they all kind of work together, and I purposely didn't want to have too many images, so I mean, a mistake a lot of artists make when they show work is that they kind of cram too much stuff on the wall, and this has been a problem at my gallery at Soho. But yeah, so you want to, I think less is more in terms of displaying work, particularly photography, and you want the viewer to look at the work, look at the group of images, in its totality. So does that make sense?
Yes, it does. I definitely think that this collection has a great flow to it with the various shades. I think it definitely comes together beautifully. So
thanks.
Of all your works, which is your favorite, or which do you have like a particular attachment to? And if you don't have a favorite, which piece would you like to talk about in like a little more detail for a moment?
Yeah, I happen to like the lighter blue one, but the brighter one, but again, it's part of a whole grouping, so that's sometimes when you're doing an exhibit, you chuck stuff that you really like, because it doesn't work with the other images, right? So it's all about having something grouped together that all works. So I'm working on some new stuff now. I haven't got to the point. I'm getting to the point where I need to start editing stuff, and I got I got a couple dozen images here, and I think at the end of the day, I'm going to wind up with 6, for a show, because they'll probably be similar size. So, it's all about, making sure that, the images all work together, and not being married to a favorite. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. That's I think, important.
Well, thank you so much, Bob. I don't have any more questions. However, if there's anything else that you'd like to add, or you might have thought of during the interview, anything you're working on now, any lingering thoughts, feel free to share.
No, I think that's great. Well, thanks for your time. I really appreciate it. And best of luck to you.
Thank you so much for speaking with us and sharing your insight into your creations.